going on? Los Angeles, welcome into the Rams Skinny here on the LA Football Network, live in the mightier 1090 ESPN Radio. I'm your co-host, Ryan Dyer, joined as always by my man, Ryan Skinny T. Anderson, looking fresh out there in LA. I'm actually coming at you live from Colorado as I'm out here to cover this USC-Colorado game tomorrow, which should be great. But today we're talking all things Rams as they travel to the beautiful city of Indianapolis to take on the Colts. But first, Skinny T, happy Friday. How you doing, my brother?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I'm wearing my Twins hat. They are officially Central Division champions going into the playoffs. They have not won a playoff series since 2004. So,
fun fact.
We'll see how my Twins do in the playoffs. But football is on the brain today.
Hey, but a Twins-Dodgers World Series would be a fun one. That'd be a fun.
That would be a lot of fun. I would actually get to see the Twins play in the World Series, which I haven't seen them live anyway. 1991, last Minnesota world champions of any sport. Maybe the most beleaguered, saddened fan base across all of sports. It's been 32 years since a world championship has been in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota has a rough, especially when you think like hockey. Like you think the Wild are always like good but never great, and it's such a hockey town. And the Vikings are always in that kind of cusp. So yeah, tough fan base. But anyway. Talking Rams football here in LA. First, I got to say this. Indianapolis, you and I were there back in March for the Combine. Fantastic. I don't know what you're going to call it, a big little town. We were hoping to go out for this game. Lucas Oil Stadium, I think, might be one of the most underrated stadiums. I don't know if it's technically underrated, but at least on my radar. It wasn't on my radar before. And just an awesome venue. It totally embodies the city. I know we talked about that a lot. We were hoping to make it out for this game. Our good buddy Zach lives out there, diehard Rams fan, so he'll be there. But like I said, I'm out in Colorado for the SC Colorado game, and just traveling within 3 different states in a matter of 48 hours just wasn't in the cards for me. But just want to give a shout out to the city of Indy because it's a great football town, and I know the Rams fans that do travel out will have a blast.
Yeah, absolutely. Really walkable area. That downtown, lots of fun. Lots of we've shouted out the Slippery Noodle several times. If
should have worn my shirt. What was I thinking?
I thought about switching into it, but I'm nice and cozy in my hoodie here.
Yeah, I didn't pack it, so that was bad. But you'll have to wear that on game day, maybe, just in honor of this game. Wear the Slippery Noodle shirt. And then in other honors, if you notice my red complexion, I'm not doing my best Jim Irsay impression here as we play the Colts, but we drove through the night, and I think I'm just still exhausted and, took a shower. So, I looked a little red, but hey, everything is all good here. Health is okay if anyone's concerned, which I'm sure they're not, but just wanted to get it out there because I do look extremely red and I'm not too drunk to taste this chicken. I'll just say that. But anyway, Colts 2-1. Pretty shocking, I think, considering what people maybe expected. Obviously not a great division there in the AFC South, but still 2-1. And with that, one of those games without their starting quarterback and Anthony Richardson, Gardner Minshew went in and got the win in overtime against Baltimore. So this is not some pushover game by any means. Rams coming in at 1-2, shocked the world in week 1, played very resiliently in week 2. And then week 3 looked a lot more like probably what a lot of the expectation was for this team. And, me and you were very critical of Coach McVay in our live reaction, as everyone was, about his play calling and kind of how stagnant the offense looked and whether that was an issue of personnel or more just the coach and the play calling. And so we don't need to get back into that because we spent a lot of time on it. But this is a big chance, Skinny T, for him to kind of get back to what we saw in week 1 and even week 2 and calling good games and calling games like we saw him call back in 17 and 18 and get away from this just pass happy mantra that he has. And, our good buddy Chauncey wrote an article about the game, and still one of my favorite lines. I think it's circulating around the internet now, thanks to us promoting this. But if the Rams running game was a kid, Sean McVay essentially went out for cigarettes, never to return. And nothing has ever been said more true in their 13 carries they had in a basically leading or 1-score game in Cincinnati. But last venting session before we move on, just any final thoughts on that before we kind of look of how they can build upon that and get better in this week?
Well, you think about last week's game, playing against a hobbled Joe Burrow, playing a close game, definitely a winnable game. And this one is too. So it's just a matter of getting some of these W's when they're available to you. we talked a lot about how many, what's the floor and what's the ceiling of this team. And, if you look back, actually that 49ers game was pretty winnable up until the last couple of interceptions, those 2 interceptions towards the end. And then last week there is a world where this is a 3-0 Rams team heading into this game. And yes. I would say this is another winnable game. And so they just have to do everything they can to make sure that they are capitalizing on these opportunities. Because that's what, that's what Aaron Donald wants. He wants to win games. That's what these young guys need to experience is kind of what it's like to play for a winning franchise. So, let's get these W's.
100%. So let's look at this Colts team before we dive into maybe some key matchups here. And the Rams go into this game as +1 or 1 point dogs, if you will. So almost a pick 'em, but still the underdog as the road team. It'll be a 10 a.m. Pacific time kickoff here. And this Colts team is doing things on offense that make myself, maybe I'm an old geezer now, smile. And they're running the damn football. 30 carries last week for Zach Moss against Zach Moss by himself, 5 carries for Trey Sermon. So 35 carries overall in a very good back and forth game against the Baltimore Ravens that they came out on top. And so you expect that Richardson's looking like he's going to play, but regardless of who's at quarterback, they're going to run the football. And if Richardson plays, they're probably going to run the football with the quarterback a little bit more too. So just your thoughts on the Rams run defense, who, got gashed here and there against Chris McCaffrey, who's not going to get gashed. I thought they played pretty well last week against Joe Mixon and their running game. So how's your overall expectation for this Rams run defense against this Colts team that we know is going to run the football?
Yeah, this is going to be a challenge. If Richardson does play, you assume that he's going to get some carries. I mean, heading into it, you got to have a question. In that first game that Richardson played, he kind of got banged up trying to punch in a touchdown late in that game, hurt his knee a bit, I think. And then now going through the concussion protocol, you got to wonder if they're going to switch that up and try to protect this guy a little bit. And maybe he's learned his lesson that you can't really run through NFL linebackers like you could in college. That's not how he got a concussion, but so this defense is the Rams defense very first test at a extremely mobile quarterback. So that'll be something interesting to see that we haven't seen so far this year. That's really going to test the edges. That's going to, and I'm not so worried about Byron Young so much as Michael Hoyt, who isn't as fast along that edge, and they haven't done a great job at setting the edge. So that's we're just talking Richardson there. Zach Moss has already had 210 yards in just 2 games that he's played, and he's also forced 16 missed tackles so far. And the Rams have done an all right job in that territory, but they have they've had some problems missing tackles. Just smaller secondary, younger guys, getting tested. So. I think that's going to be the true test in this game is if they can contain this run game.
Yeah, only 4 missed tackles according to PFF last week. So 4 is still 4, but certainly not a terrible thing when you look at their run defense overall. And again, we say many times PFF is not the end all be all, but when you look at their grades, they've actually gotten better week in and week out. 47 grade against Seattle, 62 grade against the 49ers, and then a 67.2 grade last week against the Bengals. So definitely something that hasn't improved, but I think they're going to be playing a run offense that, obviously with Jonathan Taylor was in here, this would be a real, even more concern when you look at Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor. But Zach Moss is no slouch. And I think what's important that we've said now many times is that they'll commit to the run. So it's coming at you. Can you stop it? That's going to be their bread and butter. I think they only threw for like 180 yards last week with Gardner Minshew. Even when Richardson has played, they're not exactly lighting it up passing. They still are efficient. We'll get to that in a second, but the run game certainly is what this defense is going to need a key on and slow down in order to give them an opportunity. And that also, when you're facing a team that likes to run the football, the time of possession becomes an issue. And if you're looking at how Sean McVay and this offense played last week, if you're only throwing the ball and you're going 3 and out or even 6 and out and you're, stopping the clock a lot, you're just giving that offense a lot of time to have the football, to wear your defense down, and to keep them on the field. So let's pivot over now to the offense. And how does this offense keep the Colts offense off the field? Because that's what they're going to want to do. They're going to want to just run the ball down your throat, tire you out, wear you out. They went to overtime last week against Baltimore, that Baltimore is the king of this, wearing you out and running the football. And the Colts beat them at their own game, getting that game to overtime and then winning it eventually. And that's what they're going to want to do against this Rams team. So how on offense should the Rams, I'm not saying they will, should the Rams counter that punching move in order to kind of lay the haymaker on them?
Well, what they can't do is rely completely on the passing game. This Colts team is sneaky, one of the best pass rush teams in the league right now. 12 sacks on the year. That's third most in the entire league. Kwity Paye's got 6 sacks. Familiar name, Samson Ebukam has 4 sacks as well. DeForest Buckner, he's not practicing this week, but he has 4 sacks. We'll see if he's playing in this game. So dropping back and just kind of relying on the pass game, even a quick pass game, these defenders are kind of scary in that regard. So they're going to have to run the ball. they're going to have to balance this offense out again and pick up yards that way, get first downs that way. The Colts also have Shaq Leonard still on this team, who has 17 forced fumbles in his 5 years playing. He had 8 in 2001 when last time he played a full season. So that guy's a threat on that defensive line as well. But where they are susceptible is in the secondary. And I think that they just have to, balance it with the run, but then getting back to Puka Nacua, throwing over the middle, getting those short chunk gains and trying to pick up yak. I think that's how this offense is going to function. Going back to the pass rush, though, Alaric Jackson has missed all of this week's practice, and Sean McVay has alluded to him not playing in this game, and maybe for a couple of weeks.
Huge.
And so, and last week that's when we saw the Bengals really catch up. The Bengals were blitzing, and then once Alaric Jackson came out, they were just getting home with 4 rushers. So there's going to be some shuffling. Are we going to see Joesph Noteboom move out to left tackle and Tremaine Ingram come into guard? We talked about how well this offensive line has played as the 5 at everybody at where they were playing. Now we're shuffling that, and we're seeing Joesph Noteboom getting banged up a bit. He had his shoulder hurt, and now he's missed some practice with a knee injury. So he's kind of banged up a little bit all over the place. So that's got to be worrisome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Something to monitor. And, it seemed the beginning of the week, it was trending like Alaric would play. And now, as you alluded to, mentioned like they might hold him out. So that's huge. It gets going this pass rush. I had a counter question for you, but real quick, want to tell everyone about our friends over at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game. You pick 2 to 6 players of any game. You can combine as many games as you want. And if they will go more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you can win up to 25 times your money on any entry. It's legal in California. It's a blast to play. And you can obviously win a lot of money. So if you go to Prize Picks right now, you can download the app or go to prizepicks.com, use our promo code RAMS LAFB. That's all one word, RAMS LAFB. They're going to match your deposit up to $100. You put in $100, they're going to give you a free $100 to play with. So that's prizepicks.com. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store and enter our promo code RAMS LAFB. Obviously, the run game is what we want to see. We've mentioned it many times. All of Twitter has mentioned it countless times. When you look at Kyren Williams, who I think has played well, and a lot of times at running back, I saw some stats floating around about explosive plays or efficiency running the football, how he's been kind of under that mark. We could argue that back and forth. In my opinion, as a running back, you need kind of that 15, 16, 17, 18 carries to just get a real lather going and really kind of get in a rhythm. And then you end up breaking one. You got to wear them down. You can't just expect, 12 carries and 2 of those to be explosive plays. But regardless of that, how important is it, do you think, for the Rams and Sean McVay to get another back involved in this game specifically. Kyren Williams, I believe, was the only back with a carry last week. Granted, it was only 13, but I think he was the only one that touched the ball. So how important is Zach Evans, if he's healthy, to get the ball, or Royce Freeman, who they've dressed out, or Ronnie Rivers, who they've called kind of RB2 since trading Cam Akers. So do you think this needs to just be the Kyren Williams shows, give him 25, 30 touches, whether that's in the run game or the pass game, or do they need to get another back involved somewhat?
It seems like it would behoove them to do so. My hopes for Sean McVay in this regard are just to get at least one guy going. If you get somebody in there that's a change of pace that they're not expecting, hey, wow, look at that. That might work. I don't know.
Yeah. Novel concept.
Yeah. And it's something they haven't really shown on tape. So catch the Colts by surprise. But you got to question the skill level of these guys. I'd like to get into Sean McVay's head a little bit and just to see like what it is that he's thinking. They've drafted running backs over and over and over again. And it just hasn't worked out so far. Kyren Williams is still kind of in good graces. There's been all these rumors about trades and, acquiring Jonathan Taylor and any disgruntled back, just take your pick. And there's been rumors about it. And, you look at what the San Francisco 49ers turned into after they got Christian McCaffrey, and you got to think that McVay still has that in the back of his head of, what could this offense be with an elite back? Mm-hmm. We saw it. We saw it with Todd Gurley. It was fantastic, and we just haven't seen anything like that. So, I'm not holding my breath, I guess, is the short answer to that question.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, and the Rams, nothing they do would surprise me because that's the name of the game since Leslie and Sean McVay have been there. But Jonathan Taylor would be so fun to watch in this offense. He would make this offense better. So I'm not denying that at all. But I think trading for him would be a huge step backwards for what they want to accomplish in this remodel year going into 2024, because all indications and reports are the Colts are basically not backing down from at least a first round pick. And so they basically put the bar so high that they never would trade him because no one would be silly enough to offer that for a running back. And so I would be I don't want to say upset, but I definitely would be a little disappointed, I guess, if the Rams treaded backwards and gave up another first or even two firsts for a running back that might give them one or two really, really good seasons. And then, how the running back market goes. So I'll just say this, but we're up against the clock already, as always. Every time we're on radio, obviously these episodes go fast. So thank you all for hanging out. Give me one or two real key matchups, Skinny, that you're looking for in this game. We didn't really talk about Michael Pittman, but obviously a great receiver, former USC alumni, and he'll be matched up. We would think either with Akhello Witherspoon or Derion Kendrick. You look at, we haven't even mentioned Puka Nacua's name or Tutu Atwell are both quite great going against their secondary. So just give me one or two matchups that you're kind of looking forward to in this one.
Yeah, I think that this could be a big Tutu Atwell game because, as I said before, the Colts secondary is their weak link on defense. And so if McVay can scheme some stuff for Tutu Atwell, we saw that just beautiful, speedy kind of, I don't even know what you call that. It's not an end around, but something like that, where
like a jet sweep in a way, jet toss, I guess.
Yeah, and I looked on NetGen stats to see if he registered in that kind of 22-mile-an-hour range, and that wasn't even his top speed yet. So let's see that, and then also just getting him streaking downfield. If we can create some time for Stafford, I think that would be a huge key to this game. I don't think it's going to be high scoring. I think that it's going to be some field goals for the Colts, just because this Rams defense has always been able to kind of backstop themselves. Just a new update. Richardson's status just went from questionable to healthy, so I think he's gonna. That's a go on that. So I think Tutu Atwell versus whoever they're gonna try to cover him.
Yeah, what a world we're in that Tutu Atwell are key of the game now. So happy for the young man and the work he's put in, and it's so fun to see him in this offense now. So for me, and we talked about it a bunch already, so I won't dive too much, but it's going to be this offensive line against that pass rush, and keeping Stafford healthy and upright. Hopefully, getting a running game going, which will help keep Stafford upright. But whoever's playing left tackle, if it's not Alaric Jackson, whether they slide Noteboom or give that young man a shot, they're going to have their hands full with this pass rush. So, got to be that offensive line. Whoever makes up the five going against, as you alluded to, this sneaky good Colts pass rush is going to be a huge factor in if the Rams can win this game. So with that, give me your score prediction. Rams come out 2-2, or they drop into 1-3?
I think they come out 2-2. I think the score is going to be it's going to be a close one. I think it's going to be 20-17.
Like it. Yeah, I agree. I think they get out of Indy with a win. They need it badly. And I think McVay is going to make a lot of good corrections from all the criticisms he got this week and get that offense going. Defense has been playing well. And I don't think there's good players on the Colts, but nothing where they're going to put up massive numbers. So Colts won last week, I think 22-19 in overtime. I'm going to go with the same score. Rams win 22-19 at Lucas Oil Stadium, get back in the win column and go 2-2. Anything else, Skinny T, to add before we sign off?
Pro Football Reference has Kyren Williams as the third highest in their success rate metric. 61.5% of the time he's successful.
Love that.
And he's in some really good categories. You know, you think of the best backs out there right now. He's third highest. So,
hey, 60% of the time it works every time. So just keep giving Kyren Williams the ball. Obviously, we've seen Stafford for whatever reason, and I think it's more for pass rush, but it actually is most inaccurate when trying to hit Kyren Williams in the flat. So hopefully we can get that figured out, because there's a lot of space out there sometimes that they just haven't been able to connect. But yeah, I want to see a big game out of Kyren Williams, and I'm excited to see it. So with that being said, that's all the time we have for the Rams Skinny. I'm Ryan Dyer, joined as always by Ryan Skinny T. Anderson. Hopefully everyone has a blessed weekend. Thank you all for hanging out with us. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, RL Anderson LAFB, Ryan Dyrud LAFB, or LAFB Network. Like and subscribe on YouTube or wherever you are watching or listening. Have a great weekend. Everyone enjoy the game. We'll probably do a live reaction or something close to it right after. If not, we'll be back Monday for another episode of Rams Skinny.